Hey everybody! Disney Interactive has licensed a lot of games over the years, and not all of them have been entirely terrible. 102 Dalmatians, Puppies to the Rescue, was released for PC and PlayStation in 2000, published by Eidos and developed either by Crystal Dynamics or Toys for Bob. There seems to be some confusion about that. Crystal Dynamics has their name on the box, but Toys for Bob has a history of licensed games. Toys for Bob is also responsible for the modern Spyro franchise, which 102 Dalmatians is remarkably similar to. So let's take a look, shall we? 102 Dalmatians is a 3D action-adventure platformer, a lot like dear old Spyro. You play as one of two puppies from the film, Oddball or Domino, out to rescue your stolen siblings from the clutches of Cruella de Vil. Jump, bark, and roll? Jump, bark, and roll through varied environments, thwart bad ends decidedly not played by Hugh Laurie or Mark Williams, and chase Cruella's trail as she enacts her dastardly plot to run a competitive toy factory?
I'm ruined! Ruined, I say! My toys! My marvelous, splendid toys! They're selling worse than Brussels sprouts!
I have some serious questions about this game. 102 Dalmatians of course draws its name from the live-action film, but it seems pretty likely that the game wasn't really intended to parallel that experience, instead being more like a spin-off of the first live-action film. A few characters do manage to make it in though. Waddlesworth the parrot and Fluffy, Cruella's dog, show up as part of the cast of animal friends that help the puppies navigate an allegedly treacherous landscape. I say allegedly because the game really isn't that hard. Well, duh, Teary, it's a kid's game, but let me elaborate. 102 Dalmatians has 16 levels, and strictly speaking, the only criteria for beating a level is to find or unlock the exit. Cruella's weird, sorta disturbing toys are almost always the only real obstacles, so as long as you don't mind confronting a few clowns, you should get through okay. Where the game is supposed to get hard is in collecting all 100 bones and rescuing all 6 puppies from each level, each of whom will say some variant of "thank you for releasing me."
Yip yip yippee! I'm free!
And maybe this is starting to sound more like a leisurely exploration experience than a challenge, but wait, there's more. If you hold down numpad 3, or circle on the PlayStation, you can sniff, and sniffing guides you to the nearest bone or boxed puppy in the level. So when I say this game holds your hand, it really holds your hand. Oh, and rest assured, even if sniffing can't solve your problems, there'll always be some animal or another waiting around, ready to help out in their own special way.
Hello, puppy. You know there's a magic wagon around here.
You mean that one? That's not to say there aren't some interesting parts to the game too. While obviously a little overkill in this case, the sniff mechanic is really a nice quality of life addition to a collectathon game. Spyro didn't have none of that. 102 Dalmatians also adds some neat minigame-esque sections to the game every now and again, from cute almost puzzles to brief shooting segments that foreshadow the end of the game. Shh, no spoilers. The game's only 18 years old. In addition to the classic run-around platforming levels, there are also 4 boss battles, each against Cruella, usually in some sort of comically small RC vehicle. I know Cruella probably weighs about 90 pounds soaking wet, but I sure as heck wouldn't trust that thing to hold my weight. There's nothing difficult about the boss battles. I remember the last one being challenging as a kid, but I think it might have just been because it was long. Most of them operate on the same premise. Avoid Cruella's shots and launch fruit at her until her coat is ruined and she leaves. But wait, look out!
Uh-oh, I think Cruella's changing her tactics.
Sometimes she'll go counterclockwise. If you recognize that voice, by the way, that's because it's a young Frankie Muniz, pre-Malcolm in the Middle. Wow, they grow up so fast. The main levels are charming too, if you can ignore the egregious texture popping. This is, of course, the PC version. The PlayStation version is much worse. But for the nearsighted, this game actually looks pretty good. The environments are as clear and vibrant as a cartoony game should be, and there's a lot of them, with every level taking advantage of a new and different location. Each level comes with its own animal local too. There are 10 animal NPCs, some, like Waddlesworth and Priscilla Pig, exclusive to one level, and some pulling double duty, like Chester the Rat, who helps out in the Metro and Lumbermill levels. All of them are voiced and have their own distinct personalities, which really helps add a little bit of heart to this game. It's a nice touch, even if some are weirder than others.
Oh, I lost my favorite nut. I'd go searching for it, but my mom doesn't let me go very far from our tree. If you find it, would you please bring it back to me? You bet, Fidget.
And even though some of them just flat out lie to you.
Oh, I swim through these waterways all the time, and the water is actually quite clean. I promise that the water is safe for dog paddling.
Sure. This puppy is going to develop radiation poisoning for sure. Part of the benefit of making most of the characters animals is that they don't look as jarring as a low-poly human might. Puppies especially are pretty nebulous little things. Who even knows how their skeletons work, am I right? Still pretty sure they don't work like that, though. You can swap between these weird, boneless puppies whenever you want to, too, with the press of the button and a disorienting screen effect, which I bring up only because the option of playing either a boy or a girl was pretty rare in 2000, and 102 Dalmatians did it like it ain't no thing. Domino and Oddball are both perfectly identical, of course, and control exactly how I'd expect a puppy to control. Clumsily. Don't get me wrong, the running and jumping is good, and the rolling handles really well, and the game even devotes a couple buttons to turning the camera left and right, which is more than some games. But there's one little detail that can really frustrate this experience. Whenever you jump, if you're not pressing a movement key when you land, you will slide. For big platforms, this is fine. There's a cute little lost your footing animation, and you carry on. For small platforms, this results in doing the same jump over and over and over again, trying to either land far enough from the edge that you don't slide off, or press a movement key just slightly enough that you cancel the slide without darting off the edge yourself. Nothing makes you lose confidence in yourself like failing a jump in 102 Dalmatians. I'm a grown man. This is embarrassing. The sliding mechanic crops up several times on its own in the form of, well, slides, usually waterfalls or slippery surfaces. And while fun to look at, it is pretty inconvenient for collecting bones, because you have little control over where your puppy goes. It's slippery. A lot of these minor frustrations are, I think, mostly influenced by the fact that this game wasn't made in the era of analog sticks. For those of you young and lucky enough to never have played a game like this with a keyboard or a D-pad, rest assured that it's a trial. Not terrible, but analog sticks add a certain finesse in small movements that buttons can't replicate. Buttons have two speeds, on or off, and when there's a minimum amount you have to move, hitting that sweet spot can be difficult. Overall though, there's very few times where the oddness of the controls will really detract from the game. It's not challenging enough to require anything pixel perfect, and even if you get tripped up against an enemy, the game gives you plenty of health pickups and lives. Just for the record, this was for footage, okay? I definitely didn't get legitimately owned by a toy boat. Stop looking at me like that. Stop it. For sure the scariest parts of the game when I was a kid were the battens. While not in every level, several levels include either Jasper or Horace as an obstacle, an enemy larger than any other in the game, whom you can't kill, and who will chase you if you get too close. Eek. Of course, the game always tells you how to get rid of them, usually via some sort of Home Alone style trap, and beating them is as simple as running from where they are to where the trap is, sometimes less than a few feet. But don't run too fast though, because you can also just lose them.
Ah, there's the mutt. Where the... Come back here!
Not the smartest bunch. But when you do brutally murder them, the game rewards you with a sticker. This is the same reward you get for getting 100 bones, or all 6 puppies, or just beating a level. Get all the stickers, and you fill the sticker book, Jigsaw-like. So let's take a look at that, shall we? Well, this wasn't worth the effort. Like a lot of games aimed at a younger demographic, 102 Dalmatians also includes minigames outside of the main game, most of which you can play locally with a friend. And, as with most games that do this, I'm not sure why you ever would, since more polished multiplayer games like Mario Party exist. But, if you ever wanted to play checkers without dragging out the board, feel free. Jokes aside, the minigames are cute. Tilt Maze is definitely the best one, even though it doesn't change and you could also just buy a Tilt Maze. And Minigolf allows up to 6 players. Just imagine, 6 players, all stuck on this one hill, together. Who would ever even buy Golf It? Overall, the game is easy, but it really is cute, and if you were one of the many kids who watched the Dalmatians movies and thought, wow, I want a dog, this game was a great way for parents to avoid more crippling responsibility. It's a good little Spyro not Spyro game, and really, isn't that all you can ask for? Besides, I bet you guys have never heard a penguin make a sound like this. My god. It's perfect. Thanks everyone for watching. As always, if you like this, let me know with a comment or a like or a sub, however you want. And if there's a game you'd like to see on Nostalgia Trip, or just reviewed in general, just let me know. Thanks again, and... What was that noise? Oh no. Oh god. Oh, it's the Red Baron. Everybody run!